पूछो शुरू करो.
Okay, ma'am, you can start now.
Should I start?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
उसकी तरफ से जवाब नहीं आया. At the outset, I would like to thank Indian Council for Historical Research to give me an opportunity to speak before all of you on a theme which is very close to my heart for last 10 years, Hari Bhakti collection and the making of Hari Bhakti Center of Historical Research and Studies at the Maharaja Sayaji Rao University of Baroda. I would be today dealing with encounters and prognostications where I emphasize on the prospects of the which is available in the Hari Bhakti collection at the Hari Bhakti Center of Historical Research and Studies. Well, one can see on the screen the handmade map of Baroda and the satellite map too. The three maps which clearly show us that the river Vishwamitri passes through the center of the city, and it is on the one side you see that the medieval city is sprung up, which has been recorded as Bodera, which appeared as Baroda during the British period, and since 1970s it is known as Vadodara. If you see the handmade map, you can see the squares, and it is here you see that human activities during the medieval centuries were carried out, though Baroda has a ancient past too, which in fact is very exciting, full of textual evidences available beside the archaeological evidences, which in fact, in the words of Subbarao, the report Baroda through the ages, he speaks in volume. Another important stuff which is important, the city itself. The present slide which is there show you the Mandvi gate and of course the dwellments around it, and on the other hand you see the princely Baroda, which in fact is known as Baroda estate, and also this propelled during the time of Sayaji Rao III. In one old photograph, you can see the Koti Kacheri, which has been used as an office, has been used as a record office. Today, it houses the State Archives of Baroda, which is also known as Central Record Office, which is also known as South Circle Record Office. Beside these, we have the library in the Mandvi, which is again full of resources, and all of us know about the Oriental Institute, which is there in Baroda. So there are many, many collections available in different languages, ranging from Sanskrit sources to, say, Persian sources, Urdu sources, Gujarati sources, and of course, Marathi language sources. I will be very specific on the script in the forthcoming slides. I would like to begin with the abstract of the talk. The keywords of this talk are human activities, interconnections, Sthanik, Sahukar Pedi, cities like Pune, Dakor, Dabohi, Idar, Amreli, Baroda, and Banaras in Uttar Pradesh. To begin with, historiography on South Asia and India in particular suggests that today it is not concerned with political history alone, actually with all human activities and their interconnections. This has been possible due to the incorporation of new evidence, new ways of looking at existing sources, and changes in socio-political circumstances. Today, postmodernism and narratives have heavily engaged the social science academia, where the use of vernacular sources, also referred to as indigenous, has been immense, like visual material used by museum experts, epigraphists, and the art historians in the development of modern museums and exhibition galleries. Testimonies of senior citizens, too, with corroborative shreds of evidence, both in prose and poetry, under oral narratives and oral history writing in creating digital archives. It is also observed through trends in history writing that the interpretation and research methodology in recent time is getting more experimental in dealing with historical source material in comparison to what existed 20 years before. And here I emphasize. Well, one can see a set of images where the Hari Bhakti collection I would be speaking on is stored. Some of the documents are displayed. You can see several scholars visiting inside, and this was an occasion when ICHR sponsored seminar was held on finance related issues, and the glimpse of the archives could be actually held by around 40 to 45 scholars coming from different parts of the country, of course few of them from abroad also. And this created an opportunity for the scholars who had been working in the medieval period, in the modern period, from the contemporary perspective. This, in fact, brought many more, uh, say, prospects to know, and also a lot of discussion had gone into that what kind of challenges an archivist face, or an historian face, or a beginner face when such kind of material in huge quantity is available. The archival collection for consideration in this talk, as I said, is Hari Bhakti collection, which has its own trajectory, wherein it includes narration, emergence, existence, and its utilization for the academic purposes. Also, its contribution to the growth of professional skills, ranging between conventional ways of record keeping, cataloging of the material in the collection, its dissemination, analysis, and utilization by chartered accountants for developing to the needs of global order by the usage of technology and manual acumen. Here I would like to say that the attempt which has been made at Baroda in the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, in fact, such an attempt is being made at various places. Also, the government agencies within the country and from abroad and individuals are coming to support in terms of bringing the historical material on the platform where it can be used by the scholars to understand the past societies. So I would like to share with you that first physical survey of the collection by me got started in 2009. Though my acquaintances with the collection happened in 1996, since then it has inspired me to state that immense empirical data is available, and its analysis may lead us to understand the region and local, not only in terms of composite picture of the polity, but also acumen in economic transactions and shifts in the span of 2 or 3 decades periodically, as this collection has a continuous trajectory of 175 years. When I make this bold statement, I am very careful by saying so, because once we will delve into the historiography, this may not appear. But this kind of projection is on the basis of me seeing around 8 to 9 lakhs of manuscript folios. I would be talking about the script, terminology, their categories in the later period. Uh, an introduction to this collection becomes important at this point. While exploring this collection in department under the ongoing project of digitalization of Hari Bhakti collection of manuscripts at the Department of History, is sponsored by Hari Bhakti Raneshwar Mahadev Sansthan Charitable Trust, and field visits for the identification of sites of the Sahukar Pedis of the Hari Bhakti in Pune, Dakor, Daboi, Idar, Amreli, Baroda, and Banaras made me learn that one can comprehend on social change in the pockets of local and regional, writing of family history, their role and connections with Europeans, rulers like Peshwas, Gaikwads, Holkar, for instance, urban and rural subjects in the region of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, and the Hari Bhaktis as public figures or statesmen, businessmen in their individual capacities through their acts of social work and support to the state, particularly the Gaikwad estate, as financiers, also the Peshwas as financiers. Here I need to make a special mention that the family's females also contributed largely, not only in functioning of the professional category, but also remained connected to the masses through their act of philanthropy by the construction of temples in their areas of operation, contribution in mass marriages of the needy strata, and education of the tribal lot and girl child. Printed booklets from the Haribhaktis were given to the groom and bride, which speak immensely that they were cultural and ethical custodians, at least within their community, the Vishaladvaniyas. Such instances can be decoded in Nadyat, Petlad, and the record of temples constructed by them. Here I would like to humbly submit the observations which are being placed with you on the slide. They are very minimum. The moment we started doing things since 2009 and rigorously doing since 2015, many more unknown facts are coming up, which in fact will not be recorded in the published material by the attempts of few scholars who have done it. One more thing I would like to share that as the material has come up, so first generation historians or research scholars, sociologists, or say biographers, they were looking at the state formation process and of course concentrating on the last quarter of the 18th century and 19th century. But if you look into the collection, which spans up till 1960s, in fact, this prompts us to look in the set of these documents for the 20th century as well. So one has to not confine only to understand the state formation. One can actually go into social formation processes, understanding the economy, which in fact can be revealed with the help of the resources. As I said, that empirical data is available. And of course, when we are interacting with the family members, which in fact is spread all over the world and is now engaged in variety of professions, uh, definitely make us understand the importance of the region, the network which they have created since they have become prominent in Western India, and of course, what they are contributing now. That is also important. When I would be sketching the brief profile of the family, I think that I will be able to place this point more clearly. This talk also highlights general and specific features of the collection. The collection is Hari Bhakti collection, which in fact is emphasized in this talk. But during the process of carrying out this project on digitalization of the manuscripts, which in fact are within the premises of the Department of History, we came across one more collection, which we named it after Ishwar Hari Bhakti, the father of the present donor. And in fact, he himself has made an attempt, and his brother Arvind Hari Bhakti had made an attempt that these documents, which in fact were part of their professional premises, be uh, studied. One, two are preserved, and of course, the member of the family, Gopal Hari Bhakti and Swati Hari Bhakti, they came forward in December 2014, and the process since then, in fact, has grown very fast. Here, I would like to say that the University Grants Commission had also supported in saving these documents, and of course, ICHR too. Because when I joined in 1996, I got to know that the Department of History was the first department in 1975 to get special assistance program. Today we are UGC DRS1 because the department has seen the two phases. For certain reasons, the third phase of SEP program could not continue. However, under the leadership of Professor S.C. Mishra and of course physical working on these documents by late Dr. G.D. Sharma, the collection had been studied by a set of scholars. I can say at least 20 scholars during the time of Professor S.C. Mishra. And of course, the sudden demise of Dr. G.D. Sharma brought the active work on these documents to an halt. But later on, a young scholar, Maitreyi Vaidya of the Department of History, took a challenge and did a PhD on it under the guidance of Professor R.J. Shah. So you see that attempts were being made. Excuse me. So now we are having two collections, the Hari Bhakti collection and the Ishwar Hari Bhakti collection. And the descendants of Hari Bhai Parikh and Bhakti Bhai Parikh, both natural and adopted in long span, spread over several generations, uh, almost 20 generations, one can say, is preserving the documents which are in their personal collection, and of course Department of History has been preserving in its premises. Talk also draws insights on the utilization of both the collections for writing history in a conventional way and its interdisciplinary usage by social scientists, economists, political scientists, anthropologists, and statisticians. In humanities, by Gujarati, Marathi, Persian, Sindhi, and English script working scholars, scholars from commerce background, particularly finance, accountancy, banking, and management studies. In traditional Sanskrit studies and temple management studies, of course, understanding of urban and rural institutions in late 18th, 19th, and first half of 20th century, scholars from linguistics discipline, chemical technologists, computing and art of intangible component by heritage management resource persons. Uh, while I would be speaking further, I would be showing you samples of these sources on the screen. This set of archival collection also establishes connections between the local, regional, national, and international. To place this in one word could be local, which is my emphasis, as I have started looking into how they are situated in the Indian Ocean network, which to date remains less explored, or rather, one can say, the unexplored theme. Hari Bhakti collection at UGC DRS Department of History Faculty of Arts, which was founded the department in 1949, and the study had begun. Just to give you an idea of Baroda, the Baroda College had come in 1881 in existence. The history department started since then, but it was in 1949 that college became an university, and the scholars who were teaching here, they actually started looking into the Baroda state, particularly the administrative aspects, and in fact, whole lot of published material in English based on the indigenous sources is made available to us. So 18th century Baroda in Gujarat has not only evidenced the emergence of political potentates in Gaikwads, but also the pecuniary mainstays among citizens. The foremost were the Hari Bhaktis, who are remembered for business success in areas such as money lending, indigenous banking, coin changing, traders in private capacity and banking, formation of Gaikwad state's financial policy, which stimulated rural resources and commercial economy that benefited in the making of urban Gujarat during the 18th and 19th centuries, and as philanthropists in individual capability. The business acumen and continuous support to Gaikwad fetched honors and titles like Nagar Seth and Raj Ratna, Raj Mitra, Chiranjeevi, and few others also to them by rulers and citizens. The firm building in Vadodara dates back to last quarter of the 19th century, and its location is near Mandvi Darwaja in Gadiali Port, popularly known as Hari Bhaktini Haveli, made up of red and yellow wood and stands as the grandeur of 200 years past. This family, as state bankers, were Kamlisdars, traders, and negotiators of Gaikwads of Baroda. Their multifunctional role is apparent as we have more than 1,000 Bahis account books and around 10,000 loose sheets of correspondence and statements. kundalis, astrological charts, receipts of transaction related to religious donations, grants for educational and health infrastructure, greetings, invitations, admirations, and condolence letters. As a whole, they throw light on urban economy, traditional banking system, history of Western India, agrarian economy, socio-cultural aspects of life in Western India, birth, education, marriage, and death, and familial history of Western India. Their firm's head office at Bombay, Pune, Surat, Ahmedabad, and Jaipur. These documents are in Moody Mahajani script with skills of Gujarati and with the skills of Marathi. The collection is unique because it contains records of the merchants, traders, and bankers within Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, and Uttar Pradesh, who were linked with each other and conducted multifarious business operations in towns and cities of Gujarat, like Ahmedabad, Baroda, Jambusar, Navsari, Bharuch, Dakor, Daboi, Patan, Gandevi, etc. Here I would like to draw your attention. If you look into the routes that were used during the medieval centuries or even in the ancient period, the names which I had come in front of you, they had been the trading posts, very significantly important. Some of them of big size and some of them had been of a small size. If you look into the Persian accounts, particularly Aini Akbari, you will come across as important places. Here I would like to refer the book of Surendra Gopal. If you look into the commerce of Gujarat, 16th and 17th century, the places which I had been quoting here, they had been the production centers, they had been the collection and dissemination centers. So naturally, when in the 19th century, the firm is coming up, when such kind of establishment is being created, one can understand why such places were chosen for carrying out trade and commercial activities. Why they have been established here? Of course, state interests were there because the revenue has to be collected, and these Hari Bhaktis were instrumental in channelizing these. And in fact, this become quite obvious when we go through the various volumes which got published under the aegis of the Maharaja Sayaji Rao University of Baroda, when since the university had come out. So you will find a plethora of published material that is available in English from the publication desk of the Maharaja Sayaji Rao University of Baroda. The documents which I am referring to, which pertains to these places, they are can be divided into categories of hundis, chittis, yadi, kagal, bahis, varats, jamabandis, suravos, namus, kalambandi, jamakharch, and agreements. And many more collection, in fact, can be named differently. This collection roughly covers the period between Vikram Samvat 1730 to Vikram Samvat 1930. The paper in English, they in fact extend below this period, and they mostly deal on the involvement of pre-modern Bazaar economy and the Gaikwad state of Baroda. They also deal with the people who are taking loan from the firm, because as I have said, that Hari Bhaktis were operating in their individual capacities too. Just to give you an idea once again about the collection, these documents were obtained in the times of late Professor G.D. Sharma during 1986-87 from the descendant of Hari Bhakti family, Arvind Hari Bhakti ji, and in fact was brought on lending basis. And though they were brought for lending basis to study, later on, almost 3 trucks of documents had come. And it is since then, it has been in the premises of the Department of History. Department of History continuously had been making effort to keep them safe, though keeping such a large collection completely safe is a challenge. And therefore one can say that not necessarily all the documents will be intact. Many of them are in a fragile state. Beside the Hari Bhakti collection, when Professor S.C. Mishra was heading, when SEP was brought in, the more documents were brought from Bombay Presidency. We have Shamal Becher collection, Khatpatras, Bakshi papers, rare books, and in fact, they are placed in the premises of the department. And of course, Hari Bhakti Center is engaged in keeping them safe. Say, for example, we have Suresha Desai papers, Colonel Alexander Walker's paper in microfilm, Alfred Stone's paper again in microfilms related to Bombay, Gujarat, East India Company papers in microfilm, Darbar Gopal Das Desai of Dhasa, and Rai Sankli papers obtained during 1970s and 80s. And all these documents are with the Department of History, and some of them, which I said in the microfilm formats, they are with the University's Central Library, which is also known as Srimati Hansa Mehta Library of the University. You would be surprised that why I am naming the documents of the other places. The reason is that there is a connect between these documents. The reason for connect is, of course, the family, the Hari Bhakti family. One more thing I would like to make a mention before I get into showing you certain other things on the slide. The Hari Bhakti family descendants were blessed without gender discrimination. Say, for example, mention of Sethani Jyoti Bai Hari Bhakti by French traveler Louis Risley, who visited Hari Bhakti Ni Haveli in Baroda in the mid 19th century, is mention worthy here as she managed business firm independently. The present descendants of Hari Bhakti family are now engaged in all kind of creative profession. Their love for philanthropy is unending, and their priority is education and health, which they are doing pretty well. I have encounters with these as well by visiting in the Rajpipla, say, district, where they are making attempts, looking at how innovatively they are doing things. So that way, all these activities are being conducted under our trust, Hari Bhakti Raneshwar Mahadev Sansthan Charitable Trust. And it is through this trust generous donation, around 8 lakh manuscript folios till date had been digitized. So I would be speaking further on that. I would be also highlighting one more thing that since the digitization program got started, scholars who had been coming regularly to this place are eyeing on it. And in fact, the center has been able to fetch scholars from USA, UK, France, and Japan. I would like to show you, before getting into the biographical sketch of the Hari Bhakti family, you can see on the screen Gopal Hari Bhakti and Swati Hari Bhakti. You can see an old photographs where a lane is shown, and in fact, this is where you see that in the Hari Bhakti Khacha is located. The Havelis of the Hari Bhaktis had been, and just to share with you, as an urban historian, I am saying that they were in the center. So they were kept protected, and you have layers and quarters spread over all over. You can see Swati Hari Bhakti herself making a presentation, because once they got in touch with me in 2014 and looking at the documents and the gaps, because the challenges are there to read the documents. So I requested her that why not to pen down the family's history for generation together, though there are two books available which are in Gujarati, and of course books are available in Marathi also. I would especially mention to Hari Bhakti Ni Gharani Ni Hakikat and Bar Mahajan. I will also be talking about Ramesh Shochi's work, Pili Rumalni Ghat, say Bhagwo Anchalo, and in fact these had appeared as novels. So the episodes that had taken place in the contemporary times were remembered by the people, and they are there in literature. So as I have said that doing research at Hari Bhakti means that you are not having access only to the textual evidences. Actually, you are doing a living history. In the coming slides, I would be showing you that what I mean by living history or living archives. On the screen, you can see the set of boys, senior scholars like Makran Mehta, Shireen Mehta. who in fact have been evident because they have lived in the time of Professor S.G. Mishra and Professor G.D. Sharma. In fact, have touched these documents, commented on it. All of us know about Professor Makaran Mehta and Shri Mehta's observation and their hold on the history of Gujarat. Their presence, in fact, brought many more episodes to known to us. And in fact, at some point of time, young scholars, in through their research papers and some publications of the Hari Bhakti Center, will be coming up with these narratives. On the screen, you can see few images. The structure which you see in a very depleted state is basically the oldest Hari Bhakti family. I had an opportunity to visit all the Havelis of Hari Bhakti's Havelis in Baroda, in Dakor, of course in Ahmedabad, and also in Dabui. So on the right hand side, you can see the Hari Bhaktini Pol Gaikwad Haveli Ahmedabad, and you can see the two images, which in fact what you can see is in terms of the structure. You can see the carved work, you can see the multi-storied structure. On the left hand side of the screen, you can see the temple. Like the Gaikwad rulers, who in fact had gone for construction of temples, and that was the time when you see Holkars were involved in construction, so were Gaikwads. And in fact, this act has gone extended to Banaras. So if we go to the Manikaran Ghat in Banaras, you will find the temples being constructed by Holkars, by Gaikwads. Interestingly, a temple and the ghat has been constructed by the Hari Bhaktis too. So just a glimpse of the temple architecture, which in fact existed at that point of time. And you can see several temples here in Baroda. The example of Raneshwar temple is before you. This temple, in fact, is now preserved. If you go inside, you will see this is the Shiva temple, and if you go inside, you can see the paintings that were done at that point of time. They had also been preserved. Yes, one can comment on how they are preserved. Of course, at this point of time, I'm not going into the professional stuff, because the scholars from museology, scholars from Faculty of Fine Arts, of course, the scholars who deal in environment and preservation, they have their observations. I have selected these images. Of course, these images can be seen on website also. It is here in this premises we were able to lay our hand on more documents of the period. If you look into the textual documents of the Ishwar Hari Bhakti collection, what we can see is the papers related to the land, papers related the custodians. We are having bahis in their personal collection, which in fact is giving us details that how much amount was invested, who were the people to whom the investment was made, from where the material was obtained, then how the payment was made, the receipts are there. So basically, if you see that and one really wants to go into and understand the economy of that period, how the monetary usage were done, one can go into that. Of course, I will not suggest at this point of time that what methodology can be adopted here. Going to the next slide, I would like to show you the slides from again Hari Bhakti Ni Haveli from Ahmedabad in the Gaikwad Haveli area, where you can see beautiful stone carving the gate. You can see how while studying the poles, going into preservation, the students are trying to understand these places. Of course, these are locked. I had an opportunity to get them open, got inside, and in fact I have seen wall paintings also over there. Of course, again they are in a bad state. So interventions of the art historians in these polls is needed, and of course they can corroborate the making of such thing by looking into the empirical evidences which are available in Hari Bhakti collection and Ishwar Hari Bhakti collection. On the right hand side, you can see that a way in which takes you in the Dakot temple, the Ranchod temple, which in fact comes from the Hari Bhakti Haveli. I had an opportunity to see that Hari Bhakti Haveli also. Of course, the images of that Hari Bhakti Haveli is not shown. Interestingly, this Hari Bhakti Haveli is intact. right? No modification as per the requirement of the modern times had been made. So you can actually have a feel. I had an opportunity to see the granary part also, which was on the second floor. I had an opportunity to see how the water say harvesting was done, and in fact this has been a traditional way. So these havelis, it was there. So it was there in Dapur. One can see it in the Daboi when I visited the Shiv temple, because they have constructed Shiv temple all over wherever they were active. So as I said, that Daboi is a place where we can find Shiv temple. In the Amreli also the temple is there. Of course, the images, and I have not made a visit. I have just heard from the family members regarding that, and a visit is pending in the Amreli district. Here, I would like to mention that Amreli was an important district for Sayaji Rao III. At some point of time, Sayaji Rao III, to concentrate on Amreli, had actually shifted his office. So one can understand that when the ruler is moving, of course, the people who are involved, helping them in the execution of various projects, were also asked to move the way it had happened in other ruling setups. So similar kind of thing during the 19th century had happened here. Again, you can see the Dapur temple, the top part, and in fact, this is under the trust of Tambedkar Vadas, or the Tambedkars had been under the services of Sayaji Rao III or under the Gayakwads. So the connect can be seen. So one can see that it was not only Hari Bhaktis, the other people also. And here I would like to tell you, which I have not stated so far, that it was in the Hari Bhakti Haveli of Baroda, the Bank of Baroda foundation was laid down. 10 people had collected. I had an opportunity to see documents. In fact, these documents had been handled by Professor Dujen Tripathi. They are in the private collection at National Archives, which gives us the list that what share of these 10 to 15 people in the making of Bank of Baroda is there. And Dujen Tripathi had studied the State Bank of India, the Bank of Baroda, of course, daughter of Professor S.C. Mishra. She had initiated, I'm referring to Preeti Mishra, who in fact started understanding the Baroda Pedi. And in fact, her observations are there. In an interview with Preeti Mishra while she visited when the project had just started, he said that it was Dr. Dujendra Tripathi who actually could see this document and had said that these are very, very important and these should be intensely looked at. I'm suggesting to the young scholars who, in fact, think in terms of doing Western India, in terms of doing Baroda, or in terms of doing finance and banking, understanding accountancy of 18th and 19th century, well, can lay their hands on the published material by Dr. Dujendra Tripathi and, of course, Preeti Mishra. Very significant aspects are coming to begin with, but more intense analysis is coming from several other scholars who I am going to talk in terms of historiography. A glimpse of these documents, you can see a chitti is there, a document on paper cloth is there, some notes are there. When the movement of letters is taking place, an envelope is shown. I had referred to the long, this called kundli, and this is the firm's kundli, because with the help of the people who understand this in Nadiad, I got to know the date is verified. It is almost 178 years old. Another document which is showing you some astrological charts. If you look it and at the back of the document, what you will see that a lender had come who has taken a loan. His chart was made, and at the back is written that you should be doing these things. So this will help you improvise your circumstances. Now, this type of sources, when they were unveiled during the opening of the Potlas, which an understanding during the time of Giri Sharma was not there. So, in fact, these sets of documents are looking for interventions from scholars from different disciplines. This could be the collaborative projects of different disciplines. And in fact, I strongly feel that interdisciplinary approach should be carried out in this direction. I would like to show you a few more documents which in English I have been very selective doing that. And these are the documents of the Nagar Seths. And of course, they were also part of the collection. At this point of time, I will not say that it was under the Hari Bhakti firm or it was brought by the senior scholars of the Department of History, because these were found in a separate tin box. So I need to confirm, but at the moment, they are in the custody of the Hari Bhakti Center for Historical Research and Studies. I have actually quoted a printed paper of M.S. Commissariat, who in fact had worked on these Nagar Seths and Sons. And Nagar Seths and Sons, they were having their base at Calcutta. In an interview with Gopal Hari Bhakti, when I said that, does Hari Bhaktis were in touch with the Nagar Seths? The reply was yes. In this quarter of the city, the Nagar Seths were having, the Nagar Seth and Sons, they were having their, say, dwellment. So this is another set of document which a young scholar can actually delve in, and a wonderful research scholar for the later part can be seen. And it's not about the 19th century, it is about the 20th century. You can see the stamps and the transactions that were happening with the company, with the British government, other than the Gaikwads. But the connection is between the Hari Bhaktis and the Nagar Seths. And do not confuse with Hari Bhakti being the Nagar Seth. These are the Nagar Seth and Sons Company, which was actually operational in the eastern part of the country. By showing you these images here, I am actually trying to make you understand that as the documentations are being digitized, scholars are keen to work on it. So at least with their all their limitations, they are trying to understand these documents. The scholars are from USA also, scholars have come from UK, but we have the scholars at home also. As I have said, that young scholar Maitreyi Vaid did her PhD. She has in fact published set of articles also, which in fact becomes a guideline for a new scholar to see that what is her stand and what has been the historiography. So that becomes important. A PhD thesis based on these documents had been done by, so they've said, this Neeru Banerjee is also there, who is trying to see the connection of West and East. She is looking into forms of the Western India and the Eastern India. I had an interaction with the scholars from Pune who, in fact, understand the terminology that is being used in the revenue terms in the market economy. And there is a young scholar in Pune, Shirsat. He, in fact, is helping us. The Gunjan is helping us to come up with the terminology. So these kind of small projects are in the making, and maybe in future their findings will lead to many more publication, maybe under the aegis of the Hari Bhakti Center, or maybe they go for independent publication. You can see Professor Dr. A.B. Raj Shirke, young old man who in fact started working on it. He is responsible for translating, transcribing the Bakshi papers. And in an interview with him, when he was sharing, he was helping us in the beginning to identify the documents, because it was he who in fact has given a line that, look, Dr. G.D. Sharma was carrying out cataloging and categorization of documents in this direction. So he at the time is a living person whom you can say is the best one. Of course, I have been repeatedly talking about Maitreyi Vaid. And of course, among the young scholars, I can name Kurtarth Bhatt. A new scholar Neha Patil is also learning. And recently, with the help of the Oriental Institute, with the help of IGNCA, Hari Bhakti Center was actually able to enhance its skills, particularly for the student interns in the Muri script in which these documents are. So the glimpses are there. I would like to mention about Monica Sharma also, who is also a teaching faculty at the Department of History, is also interesting. Dr. Vikram Amrawat, who in fact excels in reading of Rajasthani sources, so is Surveer. They are also making attempts here to read these documents and in fact are able to read the content of the material. I must also acknowledge support of BJ Institute's scholars. Say, for example, Pancholi Madam, for example, the former director, and few others who, in fact, helped our scholars who had come to work on the Hari Bhakti. But at that point of time, we were in the stage of cleaning the documents. They supported the scholars who were coming from abroad. So, just to share with you that uh, the work can be carried out with the help of the people in Ahmedabad. And here I must say that these kind of documents, what are there in the Hari Bhakti collection, which comes from the Hari Bhakti firm, the script documents are at archives. They are at Oriental Institute. Some of them are there in Central Library also, and they are again also uncatalogued, lying untapped so far. So an ample opportunity is there to look at Western India with the help of these documents. If I speak of the archives, where you see that Maharaja Sayaji Rao III constructed an office building in 1876. It was designed by Major Charles Ment in Indo-Saracenic style, and in fact this Koti or Juni Koti was known, and this place actually initially served as the watchdog of the entire administration. And here you see all documents are there. Why I am bringing this here, because you can't do things at Hari Bhakti Center alone. You have to go to Ishwar Hari Bhakti collection. You have to refer to the material in the Koti Kacheri record office. But beyond that, you have to go to other places also. The Hari Bhakti collection or the department is having few other collections also, which you can see on screen. Due to the paucity of time, I'm skipping these. Quickly, I would be speaking on the historiography on the usage of Hari Bhakti collection. Professor S.C. Mishra, in fact, had started working, and Dujen Tripathi, in a letter when Professor Mishra was not there in 1984, in a book City in Indian History, he lays stress that Mishra had started working on indigenization. The loss of Professor Satish Chandra Mishra led to the loss of the academic pursuits too. If we read Dujen Tripathi, of course, the methods he had suggested in doing these indigenous documents, both in Gujarati and Marathi, Mudia, the leads can be taken. Here I would like to refer to A.R. Kulkarni, Dilbag Singh, G.D. Sharma, Makan Mehta also. The theoretical framework can be started with the theory of disintegration of Mughal Empire, and here you see GF research becomes significantly important. When we are talking about trade, commerce, banking, naturally one can look into the work of Binoy Shankar Malik, and of course Lakshmi Subramaniam, who is looking at craftsman community, looks into the relationship, looks into the order, the Baniya order. Of course, Rajat Kandre, who looks into the credit aspect. Ashok Shirke gets into reading the documents, transcribing them, interpreting, and his article with Dilbag Singh speaks beyond the Hari Bhakti collection when he's speaking on Bharuch. Geeta Vajpayee, of course, was not looking at Hari Bhakti collection, looks into the 19th century Baroda. In fact, it also opens a scope of devising a methodology to lay the hands on the new historical material with the Devekar again senior scholars, and then comes the list of the scholar of our generation. Uh, so they've said Shweta Banerjee, I have said Vikram Amrawat, Kurtarth Bhatt, and maybe in future the master's student who are now engaged as a student intern with Hari Bhakti Center would be taking up this challenge. So what I can say while I'm ending my talk, that the scholars who are coming from far off places need not worry. We are there to help you. Quickly, I would like to connect Baroda with Pune. Actually, Hari Bhakti firm started first because they were called by the Peshwa from the Madodar village, the two brothers Hari Bhai and Bhakti Bhai. And you can see the structure of a mosque. This is the Tamboli Mosque and a structure nearby. And this is here you see the firm is started. And now you can see that these structures are not in a very good shape. Still, I had an opportunity to interact with these people, and I could understand the families who migrated from Gujarat. They are still living there for generation together. The Budhwar Pet, the Ravivar Pet is having the silversmiths, the goldsmiths. Then you can see the Memons who have moved, the Khojas had moved, the whole lane is there. And in fact, it is here only you see the Bar Mahajan office is located. I had an opportunity to visit this place, which in fact was the minting place. And I have forgotten to tell you that at Baroda also the minting was taking place. This was in the Haveli premises of the Haribhakti in the initial years. So by showing you few images of the field visit at Pune, field visit at Dakor, I have not shown you visits of Daboi and other places where you see the possibility of having more textual documents lying were made. And it is in this process we have added more to the collection. But this collection is under Ishwar Hari Bhakti and is with the family itself. And I think that in future more documents will be added. Now I would like to show you the slides where the picture had begun. This is how you see that when I started in 2009, the documents were in this stage. And the first slide, which I have shown you in the beginning, the documents are preserved, cleaned, periodically taken care of. They are now digitized. So when the scholar would be coming, they would be actually seeing the documents on the screen. So doing it on a big screen would be relatively very easy to read the documents. For reading the documents, what is needed? You must be well acquainted with the Devanagari script. You must be acquainted with Gujarati, Marathi, because otherwise these documents, other than English and Sindhi documents, cannot be read. So we have Sindhi documents also. We have one or two Portuguese documents also, because such documents had appeared. Here I would like to show you the connection of the Hari Bhaktis with Nana Fadnavis. While I was in Pune, I interacted with Ashok Fadnavis. I had gone to Itihas Sanshodhak Mandal also. This is a library, the city library, where in fact the Almira I had been showing you, I could actually find Marathi material, a lot of Marathi material. I'm not reading out the names of the works. I have thought of that I would be doing it. Maybe in some other opportunity, I would be sharing with you the secondary sources too. And of course, I have not shared much of the primary sources the way we have categorized or the textual or the content of these documents. One cannot do things without going to three places in Pune. One is Peshwa Daftar, the Pune archives, to Deccan College Library, because I had found secondary source material at Deccan College Library also, because I was told that if you want to look into English documents, you have to go there. And I visited, so that's there. And here you see the Hari Bhaktis, myself, are sitting with um, Ashok Fadnavis ji, and of course the people who can read these documents. So a meeting for hours together had happened, and in fact they have suggested the ways how to go about with this. So by saying so or showing you these images, I have tried to place before you a journey which started long back, of course, 200 years history in the Department of History since 1980s, by me since 2009, and now many more scholars would be joining, and we hope that many questions of historical nature related to economics, related to sociology, related to state formation process, of course, finance, management studies, preservation and conservation studies will be answered. Here, I would like to humbly submit that while starting these things, I got a lot of cooperation from the state archives people who trained us, who trained the boys who were involved in it. And over a period of time, we have learned how to repair a document. Of course, none of us are professionally trained, but what we can say in a humble way is that in some ways the intangible legacy, intangible heritage is preserved and is waiting for scholars to work on the textual documents and other kind of information which can be fetched by them, which has been fetched by us and put together. Historical center at the Department of Studies is ready to welcome young minds and want to get engaged in discussion. Thanking you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Indian Council for Historical Research.
Thank you very much, ma'am.